You're tuning in to Brains and Bonds, the podcast where knowledge meets creativity. This is Pao, and I'm with...
You already know it, Zai here.
Yes, I love today's vibe as much as I do on our topic today.
I agree. I can really say that it is the perfect topic to celebrate our successful first episode, right, pal?
Yes, Zai, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for giving us a warm welcome on our first episode. To properly thank you guys, we are presenting you
The Brains and Bonds, Timeless Threads, the role of classics in contemporary Philippines.
We are excited to talk about this episode as we were always bored learning about this type of thing at school, especially when it is presented in a lengthy and plain lecture.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's why we thought of a way to help students enjoy learning about these things, especially when their final examination is tomorrow and they did not pick up a single piece of information about the topic throughout the semester.
That's why if you need something that would help you learn the role of classic and contemporary Philippines in an entertaining way, stay tuned and join us in doing that.
And we are now very excited to welcome our guests for this episode as they are special, very, very special in our hearts. Let us all welcome our friends who were struggling with us and then finding good material about this topic. So hello, girls. Say hello to our listeners and tell us how are you feeling with this episode.
Hi, hello everyone. It's Jam, not the palaman, but it's the name. Hi.
Hello everyone, Thea here. I'm very excited for this episode.
Hi, this is Irish and I'm feeling really great right now.
Hi, hello, I'm Daniel and I'm excited too for this episode.
Hello, it's YNA, Yana. I'm very tired right now, but let's go, go, go!
Wow, guys, that was an enthusiastic introduction. Parang pwede nyo na kaming palitan. Kidding aside, we want to thank you all for making space in your busy schedules to grace this podcast and your presence.
Yes, I would agree. We were very, very thankful that since the last episode, you were just behind the microphone, but now you're in front of it.
So what are we waiting for? Let's get into it. This is Brains and Bonds, Timeless Threads, the role of classic and contemporary Philippines.
So are you guys all ready?
Are you ready? Are you ready? I guess it's only right to start our episode with a refresher on the background and history of the contemporary Philippines classics to ensure that we're on the same page, you know?
Yes, right. Of course, we'll start on the history, oldest to newest. Nerd. So the floor is yours, guys. Can you tell us what you know about the history of Philippine classics? Roar!
Thank you so much, Zai. So, in a source by Pagkalinawan, I found that after martial law in the 1960s and 1970s, there was a resurgence of committed literature and a rise of new publications. These literatures are mostly poetry, short stories, novellas, novels, and essays that explore social, gender, ethic, and personal themes.
Oh, I think I saw the same source. Allow me to continue, Thea, please.
Sure, my pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on, during those times, Filipino writers have developed a sense of self-awareness in their art. They also had various opportunities to join local and international writers' workshops, helping them develop their skills and gather inspiration. Also, the accessibility of the literature during those times emerged through mass media and the internet.
Alexa, play Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter because that explanation was short yet insightful.
I am with you on that, pal. Now that we know the then, I think it's time to talk about the now. What do we know about this, girls?
Firstly, let us define contemporary literature. It refers to works created in the present time, focusing on writers' feelings, emotions, and the society they live in. While writing styles may differ, the goal is to depict realistic characters and experiences.
There are about 4 significant events that mold contemporary literature, which me, Irish, and Yana will enumerate and explain to you guys.
The first event was the rebirth of freedom from 1946 to 1970, or the early post-liberation period. The time was a time of struggle of mind and spirit, driven by a sudden, freedom from the enemy and eager desire to publish works, leading to the proliferation of newspapers.
So afterwards, from 1970 to 1972 was the period of activism, which was the time when people developed social awareness and used their voices to criticize the flaws in society and politics, leading the youth to become openly rebellious, as seen not only in a violent protest and street art but also in their literature as campus newspapers reflecting their defiant emotions emerge.
Then after that, the period of the new society from 1972 to 1980 happened. This was the time when most writings focused on themes related to the country's development, such as the Green Revolution, family planning, proper nutrition, the environment, drug addiction, and pollution. Specifically, the poems explored themes of patience, appreciation for native culture and customs, and the beauty of nature and surroundings.
On the last event, the period of the Third Republic from 1981 to 1985 was both romantic and revolutionary. Writers of this time expressed open criticism of the government using fiery, colorful, and often profane, insulting language to convey the people's frustrations.
Wow! Kung yung sa history ay short and sweet, this one naman ay a long journey by Red Wave. Pero despite that comprehensive discussion, the question still remains. What is the significance of the classics in contemporary Philippines?
Well, allow me to answer that, Pao. Sayang naman talaga ang research. But kidding aside, classic Filipino literature combines colonial influences with traditional storytelling, since the works produced during the colonization era and modern idioms in several languages significantly influenced these literary works. The incorporation of indigenous and foreign ideas and acting as a source of inspiration for Filipino authors, pre-colonial literature has enhanced the richness and diversity of Filipino literature as stated by Pineda in 2024.
Oh, from that I can say that the role of classics in contemporary Philippines is multifaceted, bridging the past and present while offering cultural, intellectual, and moral insights.
Yes, that's right, Pao, but enough with us. Let's allow our guests to continue.
One significant role of classics in contemporary Philippines is cultural preservation and identity, since classics in literature, philosophy, or art help preserve Filipino heritage and traditions. Works like Florante at Laura by Francisco Balagtas or No Limithanger by Jose Rizal provide a lens into Filipinos' historical struggles, values, and aspirations. They remind Filipino of their rich history and inspire a sense of pride, fostering a deeper understanding of being a Filipino.
Lastly, classics offer significant social commentary in reform, such as Rizal's critique of colonial oppression, which resonates with modern struggles like corruption, inequality, and social injustice. By revisiting classics, Filipino can identify patterns in societal behavior and draw lessons to advocate for change and reform.
I'm happy that we're on the same page at iisa lang ata ang findings of our research. Moving on to our next segment, we'll be delving into one of the most significant works in contemporary Filipino literature, Dekada 70 by Luwalhati Bautista. This novel gives us a powerful portrayal of life in the Philippines during the 1970s, a turbulent decade marked by a political unrest and the imposition of martial law. To help us understand the depth of this novel, we have two very knowledgeable guests with us today. First, we have Yana. Say hi.
Hi guys!
And Danielle.
Hello!
Now let's begin with a brief overview of Dekada 70 so that our listeners can understand its importance. Yana, could you set the stage by giving, and some historical context for the novel? What was happening in the Philippines during the 1970s that shaped this history?
Absolutely. The 1970s was a time of significant social and political upheaval in the Philippines. Martial law was declared by President Ferdinand Marcos in 1972, radically altered the political landscape. Its civil dissent curbed civil liberties and led to widespread human rights violations. This was a backdrop against which Dekada 70 unfolds.
Staying Thank you for that insightful context. Now, Danielle, let's discuss how Luwati Bautista uses this historical setting in her novel. How does she weave the personal and with the political in Dekada 70?
I'm happy to share that Bautista masterfully intertwines personal narrative with the larger political narrative. While the book does explore the political struggles during the martial law era, it equally concerned with the personal struggles of the Bartolome family, particularly the mother Amanda. Her journey from being a passive wife to a more active participant in her children's political awakenings mirrors the broader shifts in the Filipino society at the time.
It's clear that Bautista doesn't just tell a political story, but also a deeply personal one. So, Yana, from a historical standpoint, what do you think Bautista is ultimately saying about Filipino society in the 1970s? How does Dekada 70 reflect the larger movements of the time?
I think Bautista is commenting on the tension between individual freedom and the collective struggle for justice. The novel emphasizes how ordinary Filipino, particularly women like Amanda, found themselves caught between the oppression of the state and their own evolving sense of identity.
Dekada 70 is essential because it brings historical events into realm of personal experience. By focusing on a single family, Bautista allows readers to connect emotionally with the larger historical narrative. It humanizes the struggles of the 1970s, and by doing so, it provides insight into the sacrifices and resilience of Filipinos during an incredibly difficult period.
Thank you both for such insightful comments. It's clear that Dekada 70 is much more than just a novel. It's a lens through which we can understand the political and personal complexities of a tumultuous era. Now, for our last segment for our podcast, Timeless Threads. This segment will show all the things Filipino literature. Today, we're diving into a popular book that's both humorous and at the same time a thought-provoking Bob Ong's Ang Alamat ng Gubat, The Legend of the Forest. This novel mixes satire, folklore, and social commentary. To help us unpack this book, we have three special guests who are passionate readers and fans of Bob Ong. Let's meet them now.
First, we have Thea. Thea, say hi!
Thank you so much, Pao. It's so great to be here.
Next, we have Irish. I am so glad that you could join us today.
Thank you. So excited to dive into this book.
And last but not the least, we have Jam. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Great! So, Ang Alamat ng Gubat was first published in 2000, and it's one of Bob Ong's most beloved works. It's a satirical novel set in a mythical forest that offers a deeper commentary on power, greed, and society. Thea, let's start with you. What's your take on how Bob Ong uses allegory in this book?
Well, Bob Ong has a unique ability to blend humor with social critique. In Ang Alamat ng Gubat, the forest functions like a microcosm of society where each animal represents different social classes or types of people. The character of the Pagong is a great example. He's small and seemingly weak, but he has the wit and wisdom to challenge the larger, more powerful animals. The book uses these creatures to show how the oppressed can find power through knowledge and cleverness, which is something that really resonates with Filipino readers.
That's a great point, Thea. The novel really makes us reflect on power dynamics in a way that feels fresh and entertaining.
I think it's a perfect example of how literature can both entertain and educate. Bob Ong has this talent for making his readers laugh, but he also makes them think critically about the society we live in. It's a book that stays with you long after you've read it.
Phew! That was a jam-packed discussion, but definitely worth every second, don't you think?
Absolutely, pal. From the history and evolution of the Philippine classics through their deep significance in today's world.
Maraming salamat, everyone. Until next time, this has been your host, Pao.
And Zai,
Signing off with stories that are timeless and voices that are boundless. See you on our next episode!